Welcome to the Art of Money podcast with Art McPherson.
And this is the Art of Money podcast with Art McPherson and Luke McCarty, artofmoneyradio.com for more information on the McPherson Financial Group or to schedule that initial complimentary consultation. We appreciate you listening. Now, let's get to the show. We talk a lot about annuities, how they provide that steady stream of guaranteed income. But with so many options available, where do you go to find that annuity store? Now, we asked annuity advocate Cheryl Moore with winkintel.com, and here's what she had to say.
The number one easiest path in order to identify somebody who can sell you an annuity is just to ask, are you a licensed life insurance agent? That's the quickest and easiest way. Or to say, do you sell annuities? Depending on who you're talking to, you may get a different response and you may get a very strong response. But if you've already identified that you think an annuity is what's right for you, that's okay if you meet people along the way who say, no, I don't sell annuities. That just means you need to keep asking until you find the right person who can.
All right. So are you at the McPherson Financial Group? Are you a licensed life insurance agents? And do you sell annuities?
Yes, we are. And we do sell annuities. However, we do it from a fiduciary model. So annuities, I would say 80% of the people that walk into our office the first time have a negative perception of annuities. Part of the reason for that, I think, is a little bit of her description that she uses in this scenario. You have to call a life insurance agent. So typically the best annuities are sold by the life insurance agents in our industry. However, if you look at the track record of the average time an insurance agent is in the field, it's 3 years. So if you're buying an annuity from an insurance agent, there's a high probability that agent will be out of the business before your annuity even matures. So there's a lot of confusion with annuities. They're a little bit different type of a product. The language is different than the financial world. So they use different terms. Like if you have mutual funds under your variable annuity structure, as an example, they don't call it a mutual fund. They call it a sub account. And there's just lots of different language, little different terminology that the insurance industry uses that's different than the financial services industry. So they can be a great vehicle. You just have to be really, really careful with annuities. There's a lot of things that are not explained very well. And we find a lot of our clients, if they've lost an agent that they bought an annuity through and they didn't have a team around them like our team at McPherson Financial Group, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how the annuity works. And when they try to call the 800 number, they get very misleading or very poor information. And every time they call in, they seem to get different information. So what we try to do here at McPherson Financial Group that's so different is if we are going to recommend annuity, we really explain why and why we feel that's a better solution than something else. And we have a very specific reason we're doing that. So people just have to be very careful with them. They do have their place. They can be a good fit. It's just you have to be knowledgeable about the good and the bad and the ugly kind of thing. And that's one of the things that Luke and I really try to do with our clients here at McPherson Financial Group.
Yeah, one thing we do a little bit differently here, if you go to a life insurance agent, what are you going to get? Life insurance. Right? And what else may you get? An annuity. So if you go to a Ford dealership, they're going to sell you a Ford, right? Or they're going to recommend you a Ford. But here, we have investments in the stock market. We have annuities. We have preferred stocks. We have alternatives. We have income producing securities. We have a CPA. We do taxes. We do estate planning. So we do it all. So that's the fiduciary model. Is it has to be in your best interest, not just what's on the menu. So be careful. In this scenario, what Cheryl was talking about. Are you licensed? Do you sell annuities? Yes, we are licensed. Yes, we do, but only if it makes sense within your big picture.
The importance of being a fiduciary, and that's the team at the McPherson Financial Group. Have your best interest in mind. 772-281-5223. Look, annuities can be a little confusing, overwhelming at times, but that's why the team at the McPherson Financial Group want to sit down and answer your questions and help maybe build some of that guaranteed lifetime income with an annuity. But it all begins with the conversation. That number one more time, 772-281-5223. And I know a conversation you have, too, is a lot of people who are locating and relocating down into Florida. I think over the past, 2 to 3 years, Florida has become the number one spot that people are moving into. Bankrate had a study that came out that said that Florida has now emerged as the best place to retire, while Alaska ranked the worst. That makes total sense.
I wonder why.
No idea.
You're literally trying to fight for your life for about 7-8 months while it is so cold and the
dark.
sun never comes up, and you're just trying to stay alive. When it's 25, 35, 45 below zero. I can speak to this because when I was a little one, I lived in Alaska. So my family, my dad was out in Fairbanks and got stationed out there in the Air Force for 2 years, his last 2 years of duty. So when I was 0 to 2, I was in Fairbanks, Alaska, really, really cold. And he had said, this is his classic line to my mom, Sylvia, if we make it out of this place alive, we're moving to Florida.
Are you going back, Art?
I am not. Just in the summer when it's really pretty and
Just
it
on
won't get
vacation.
dark.
Yeah.
Right. I've been there before on a cruise. You know, I kind of just pass through Alaska.
Right.
You know, you just
It's fun to look at.
yeah.
Fun to
But I mean,
pass.
all the cruise ship places, that is just for cruise season. I mean, those cities just literally everybody flies in, they work the summer, and then they fly out. And everybody leaves except
Wow.
for the real hardy people of Alaska that stay there, and they are special people.
Look, Luke, at the beginning of the show, Art said he barely survived a 12-hour road trip. You think he's going to survive 7 months of ice-cold desolation with
No,
isolation?
he'd be through
and
Netflix in the first week.
No way, Jose.
Hey,
I could not be outside. I couldn't do it. My dad said it was so cold. He took, I think it was 45 degrees actual below zero. And he took a bucket of warm water, not just regular water, warm water. And he opened the door and it started just snow just from the clash of temperatures from inside and outside. He threw the bucket and all was frozen by the time it hit the ground.
Jeez, how did you survive, little Artie?
I don't know. You have to ask my dad.
Keep him warm. Keep him warm.
Well, Art, as we're talking about relocating to a little more sustainable situations like Florida, if you have a client that's maybe relocating to Florida, or maybe they have their parents or, maybe their kids want to move down to Florida, what kind of advice do you give them about some things to be aware of, especially when it comes to your retirement plans, about how your finances are going to be handled in Florida?
Well, some of the things that are nice about Florida is we don't have a state tax. So we have a lot of clients that will have housing in another state. So I was talking with a client this week who happens to have other housing in New York. And the way New York does it, every month that he lives in New York, or every day, they've actually broken it down to the day now.
Jeez.
He has to pay the state tax of New York during those days. So whether or not he is in the state or out of the state doesn't really matter to New York. They just want to make sure they get their tax. And he lives in both states, but he gets the benefit of being a resident of Florida because we have no state tax. But while he is up there in New York, the state of New York wants that tax for their state. So every state has a difference. And when you are getting paid a pension, some of the states will tax your pension, some will not. In the state of Florida, we do not get a pension taxed. So you have your federal income tax, but you don't have all these extra taxes. You don't have state taxes and taxes on your pensions. And as you do the math and you run through the numbers, it can make a huge difference. That's one of the reasons we have Mark here, who is a CPA. He's going through all of that with our clients right now. We're preparing for next year right now during this year, not for the returns, but we're preparing how do we want to distribute income? How do we do Roth conversions? Does it make sense to do Roth conversions for you in your tax bracket? If we do this Roth conversion for you over the next 3, 4, 5 years, can we get you to the perfect tax rate where you actually are going to pay no federal income taxes because everything coming out of your dollars are all tax free? So those are the kind of problems we are trying to solve with our clients on a monthly basis right now that are part of McPherson Financial Group.
And yeah, this is funny. So I came from Kansas City. I've been here 3 years now. And so I lived in Kansas. So I paid Kansas tax. I worked in Missouri. I paid Missouri tax, but I worked in Kansas City, Missouri, and they had their own tax on top of it. Now, it wasn't the New York City rates, but it was still paying tax, right? It was like 7-8%. And when I was working there, downtown Kansas City, I had clients who were thinking of relocating to Florida, and a couple actually did. And I ran a scenario in the financial planning software, the same one we use here. So I've been doing it, this software for over 10 years now. And the numbers that came out from avoiding state income tax in your retirement years, I mean, think about it. You avoid state income tax on all your 401k distributions, IRA distributions, Social Security. I mean, all these things added up to where I told her, I said, mathematically, you should move to Florida. And from the looks of it, and this was in the winter in Kansas City, I said, from the looks of it, you should go there now. So that's when the light bulb went off for me. Why am I helping people leave Kansas City, Missouri to go to Florida if I could somehow go there now? And I am here. Thank you, Art McPherson.
And do you want to split a U-Haul for that ride? Just throw it down there.
You want to split 7-8% for the last 3 years.
Thanks for listening. Want more from Art McPherson of McPherson Financial Group? Find us online at artofmoneyradio.com. We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Securities offered through World Equity Group, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Investment advisory services offered through ProStatus Group, LLC. McPherson Financial Group and ProStatus Group, LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by World Equity Group, Inc. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. Art McPherson is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Arthur McPherson. Florida Insurance License number A174. 725.
Today's show has been a work of art.